You ever get that gnawing sense deep in your gut, like the city's about to shake, the lion's about to roar louder than ever, but nobody outside this blue-collar town's ready to hear it? Like Detroit's been waiting in the shadows, grinding, through pain and heartbreak, only to unveil something so raw, so pure, that it'll blow the football world apart? They say losing your offensive and defensive masterminds is a disaster media vultures circling. Like it's the end of the line, yet behind these locked doors, something monumental is stirring, a silent revolution led by names echoing with promise and fire. Jared Goff, DJ Reed, Aiden Hutchinson. You think you know their stories? Think again, because this isn't just about players, it's about a city's soul reborn in the trenches, on the field, and in the heart of every skip in the heartbeat that is Detroit football. Jared Goff is no longer the guy leaning on a crutch. This is the moment the world sees him stripped of that cage and rising, not as a system quarterback, but as a warrior with a crown forged in blue and silver grit. He's evolved past the whispers that labeled him a product, stepping onto the field not just with arm strength, but a spine steeled by battles, carrying the weight of a franchise starving for redemption since '91. Goff's leadership is no longer a shadow behind an offensive coordinator. It's the pulse in the locker room, the calm in the storm, the spark that ignites every play. The adversity, it's fuel. The coaching changes, a catalyst. Dan Campbell's fingerprints are on every explosive snap, every steel-toed run behind the trenches, solidifying an identity that screams power, persistence, and pride. Now imagine DJ Reed stepping in, ADB, whose quiet storm has been overlooked by a national audience too blinded by big names and flashy headlines. Reed isn't just a cover corner. He's a game changer, an elite shutdown artist whose presence rewrites what Detroit's secondary is capable of. This move, subtle on paper, is seismic on the field. It's the key to unlocking a defense that lost some faces but gained a new breed of ruthless precision. With Reed locking down one side, the pressure on rising stars like Terry Nanho and the elite safety tandem of Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph becomes a tidal wave about to crash, a perfect storm ready to drown out any flash passing attack daring to come through. Already, the defense is starting to hum with a fierce new energy, but the real narrative, the pulse beneath the roar, is Aiden Hutchinson's return. Picture this, a lion brought to his knees, sidelined just when the hunt was at its peak. Now, fully healed, claws sharpened, ready not just to step back onto the field, but to rip the opposition apart. Hutchinson isn't just a player. He's the heartbeat of Detroit's defense, the relentless force that turned heads and terrorized offenses before his brutal break. His comeback is more than injury recovery, it's resurrection. The front. Seven doesn't just get a player back, they get their soul back. The reason the trenches tremble and the city dares to dream bigger than it has in years. Each move from Goff's evolution to Reed's arrival to Hutchinson's comeback threads together a story of defiance, of a city that knows heartbreak but refuses to break. What if this isn't just a refreshing of the roster, but the ignition of a run deeper and darker than anyone outside this blue-collar battleground dares to imagine? What if this is the shot Detroit's been circling for, the last clear moment before the window slams shut and forever seals a team's fate? Can a quarterback reborn, a defensive maestro renewed, and a shutdown corner unveiled all coalesce into a force so brutal that the NFC North's throne doesn't just belong to the lions it shakes under their claws? And if this transformation triggers the rise we all hope for, you better believe the dominoes won't stop falling there. The questions aren't about if Detroit will rise, they're about how high they'll climb before the league gasps for breath. So if you ride or die with this city, if the pulse of this team pumps fire through your veins, let your voice thunder down below. Light up the comments if your heart won't quit beating for these Lions. Because the blueprint is being drawn in secret. The fuse has been lit in this Motor City furnace, and all that's left is for the explosion to tear across the league like the roar of a city reborn. Detroit isn't just coming back, the Lions are coming for blood. Snap the chains. Detroit, destiny doesn't wait for the timid. This is the moment every scar, every tear, every nightmare that haunted Ford Field finally converges into a deafening roar louder than the city's steel mills, an awakening that'll shake every corner of the football world and burn old ghosts to ash. Folks ask how we got here, how far we've fallen and risen. They forget the blood-stained history, the heartbreak buried deep beneath the Motor City's grit. Remember 0-16? A season so brutal, so soul-crushing that it carved a scar in the fabric of Detroit's identity. Yet through that darkness, legends like Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson refused to fade into dust, igniting hope in the ashes. The pain of Jim Caldwell's firing, the wild card collapses that made us believe we'd never break through, that was just the prelude. And now, amid the wreckage, something fierce is stirring. Jared Goff, once doubted, now redefined, standing tall not just as a quarterback, but as the bloody fist of Detroit's resurgence, a man who shed the label of system puppet and becomes something fiercer, a captain forging a legacy with every down, every throw, as if Detroit's call to greatness courses through his veins. The locker room's tension simmers beneath a fragile calm, players whispering about grit, about destiny. That's the real fuel behind Goff's transformation. Behind closed doors, Campbell's no-nonsense voice promises fire, warning not to. Let complacency seep back in, to remember the endless nights, the sacrifices because the league's scared. Oh, they're trembling the NFC North? They're feeling it, the subtle shift, the dread that Detroit's about to turn their own game against them. No longer are we a laughingstock. This city's bloodline pulses with fighters prepared to die on that gridiron. And the defense? They're flickering with a newfound fury. DJ Reed, a silent storm at corner, locking down one side like a steel trap, rewriting what it means to be a shutdown guy, while Hutchinson's return is a seismic victory that roars louder than any preseason hype. This is it, the Lions awakening, claws ripping through doubt, ready to savage the opposition with relentless brutality. Think back Jim Caldwell's firing, the chaos with Stafford's injuries, Calvin's retirement. All signs pointing to the end, but instead fueling a new beginning, a resurrection born from the ashes of past heartbreaks. The ghosts of losses. Past scream in the night, but Detroit's heart beats stronger, pounding with every brutal blow. Every ounce of sweat and steel poured into this squad. This is more than football. It's a city's reckoning, a statement carved into the very soul of Michigan that we don't quit. We don't break, that we rise from the rubble like a phoenix snarling back at the stars. Goff's eyes aren't just filled with confidence. They're spewing a silent promise to himself, to the city, that this isn't just about now. It's about rewriting history. What if Jared Goff becomes more than a quarterback? What if he becomes the symbol of Detroit's revival, a leader? Who leads this franchise from the depths of despair into a new era of dominance? And with Reed shutting down the league's best receivers, Hutchinson returning with hellfire in his claws, and Campbell commanding with unwavering fire, what if all the pieces finally align into a perfect storm so fierce that anyone who dares step in the Ford Field will feel the earth tremble beneath their feet? The NFC North? It's trembling, realizing the Lions aren't just here to compete, they're here to conquer. With each brick crumbling of old stereotypes, every victory on the horizon getting closer, you can feel the ground shaking, the engine roaring, the end of Detroit's silence. The question now isn't if they will ascend, but how high this city's wolves will climb before the league gasps for air. Before the Lions claim what's been theirs all along, what if, just what if, the roar of Detroit's future is finally about to drown out the echoes of every heartbreak and every failed season. And this season's chaos isn't just a flash in the pan, but the start of something so raw, so brutal, so epic that even the stars tremble at what's coming next, a thunderclap that detonates right through the league's defenses. And as the final seconds tick away, with the crowd deafening in anticipation and history creeping closer to rewriting itself, the question hangs heavy. Are the Lions about to unleash something so unstoppable that the league will never see it coming? Or is this just the quiet before the inevitable storm that will change everything forever? because this isn't just football. This is Detroit's resurrection. And the best part? The story's just getting started.